between Calgary Roller Derby All-Stars and the Terminal City Rollergirls. So I'm going to start off by reading you the Calgary roster. Number 006, Knockout Sunday. Number 092, Baby Slice. Number 10, Maclash. Number 12, Ruthless Red. Number 238, Preacher's Slaughter. Number 30, Zoe Duncan. Number 302, Easy Break Oven. Number 314, Bazinga. Number 42, Norwegian Blue. Number 44, Engage. Number 45, Shark Bait. Number 51, Harley Havoc. Number 747, Renault. Number 82, Kiki Tiki Bang Bang. And number 934, Hillary Boswell.
And Terminal City, 03, Zelda Fitzgerald. 09, Skate Park. Number 118, Silver Scream. 1964, Annie Means Necessary. 305 is Smokey. 322, Handley. 41 is Lemon. 74 is Griffith. 46, Hurt Russell. 505 is Marinaker. 513, Simonius Maximus. 7718, Aria Ready. 8055, Argyle. 99 is I Carumba, and 999 is Kiki Frenetic.
Our official staff today is Head NSO Iceman, Head Ref Tipsy Moo, and then we've got the rest of our skating officials: El Presidente, Elemental, Viva la Evolution, Robin Ublind, Roger Jamnet, and Landon Flat. And for our NSOs, we have William Moore, Torque Mama, Cooney, Wizard of Laws, Ultraviolet Blue, Cairo Fracture, Stabby McNeedles, and Indian Pale Ale.
And we are off. Are You Ready is there for Terminal City.
That's Easy Break Oven with the lead for Calgary starting off our game. Looks like it's going to be a power jam for Calgary.
And right off the bat, they see that they have that power. They call the jam off to get a power start.
It's going to be 2 points for Calgary on that jam. They're going to start this with the first score. Interesting fact that both these teams are from Canada and they had to come all the way here to play each other.
It looks like we have a light Calgary lineup, that only 3 blockers. Calgary taking back all the way to turn 4 as they're letting 934 Hillary Boswell at the Terminal City wall.
Interesting decision from Calgary trying to break that pack to get their jammer out right away, although it ended up being a problem for them because they lost a blocker to destruction and now they've lost their jammer to a forearm. So this can now be a power jam for Terminal City, and also Calgary is down 2 blockers in the pack.
Yesterday we had the opportunity to watch Terminal City take on Tucson, and I can tell you Are You Ready has a pretty skilled jammer, so they are pretty ready to take on Calgary, I'm sure.
Jammer head of the box for Terminal City. Are You Ready picking up 5 points. Also has a lead.
Calgary now has all of their blockers doing kind of a 2-and-2, a little bit of a 4 tripod, quad prod, if you will, against Are You Ready.
You've been seeing more and more of these all 4 people bracing together to create those quads. I sometimes call them like amoebas because they move around and kind of block those jammers in really well. Not using the offensive blocker helps your defense a little bit, and then also strengthens up that quad pod in the front. 3 points to Terminal on that jam.
Another strong and frequent blocker for Terminal City is I Carumba up against Harley Havoc. With less blockers, Terminal City had 2 up in the front, so Harley Havoc is fighting just beyond turn 1.
Terminal City getting back a blocker. Calgary losing a blocker. I think that makes it 3-on-3 inside the pack right now.
And it's Harley Havoc who is lead just outside of turn 2.
Another Calgary blocker head of the penalty box. That's the pivot.
I Carumba is out. The pack consists of 4 skaters right now. Harley Havoc gets hit to the inside and calls off the jam.
score now, 8 for Terminal City, 5 for Calgary, so nobody's pulling away.
Yes, I think currently we have enough penalties going on that they are in endurance mode right now, being that they have to fight off these blockers with less support than they are used to.
Yeah, now we've got 3 on the track for Terminal, 2 on the track for Calgary, so I don't think we've seen full strength in a jam now, or at least 3/4 of a jam.
Lemon started pretty strong, almost literally on top of Bazinga, and it worked out. Lemon is your lead jammer.
Bazinga still stuck on her initial pass. Lemon working on their first scoring pass.
Bazinga, the Calgary jammer, brings back Lemon.
Gonna call that off. 5 points for Terminal.
Looks like Terminal City has all 4 blockers. Calgary is down to 3 blockers, and Terminal City sends out Handley along with number 934, Hillary Boswell for Calgary.
Team timeout being called by Calgary. You're going to take a second to refresh and reboot. The WFTDA tournaments provide everyone who loves roller derby an opportunity to witness the most anticipated matchups of the year. Get all the information on the 2018 International WFTDA Playoffs and Championships at WFTDA.com/tournaments. Got about 5 minutes tick in this game so far. Score is 16-5.
I'm excited to see what happens after this timeout. Usually a timeout's taken, obviously, to reset, refocus, kind of regroup. And when you have probably teams that see each other a few times, there's a lot of Canada pride out here today as Terminal City is wearing maple leaves all up and down their legs. It'll be interesting to see how both these teams kind of approach the next strategy in this upcoming jam.
I think that Calgary really wants to focus on stemming the blocker penalties, right? That's been a problem for them. When they were at both times they were at full force, they were able to get lead. They haven't been at full force otherwise. They've been giving up points. Also, you have blockers in the box. They just are free points.
And Hillary Boswell gives a good hit to Hadley just off the line. Calgary kind of drawing that jammer back.
Good move by Calgary here because they're ticking time off the clock. They have a blocker standing in the box, so that's going to clear the box and finally put them back at the full strength they want to be at. So even though they didn't get lead in this jam, because lead just went to Terminal, they're finally able to free themselves.
Hanley is calling the jam off just outside turn 1 as a Calgary skater. Zoe Duncan took a big hit, is not needing any attention, but looks a little winded as she gets up and goes back to the box.
Couple penalties called at the end of it. 3 penalties called at the end of that jam. There was a back block, a forearm, and I didn't see the third one, but 2 Terminal blockers in the box now, 1 Calgary blocker in the box.
Both these teams really need to slow down on those penalties. 5:05, Marinacre out there for Terminal City.
Lead jammer goes to Marinacre.
I believe that's Easy Break Oven out there for Calgary.
Pack is down to 2-on-1. It's kind of a jammer's choice sort of game.
Calgary at 5, Terminal City at 23. Bazinga is jamming for Calgary, and Are You Ready jamming for Terminal City. Again, the minuscule advantage is going to Calgary with 2 blockers against the 1 Terminal blocker. Some amazing blocking by all blockers. Aria Reddy is out as the box empties, releasing 3 blockers, evening out that pack.
Both jammers in scoring position, both in the pack. Aria Reddy decides not to call that one off quite yet, giving Bazinga some time to also score points. 4 and 4 on that pass. That's the pivot head of the box for Calgary.
One more scoring pass through. Aria Reddy calls it off. Looked like getting 4 in that lap.
It's going to be 31 for Terminal City, 9 for Calgary.
I do appreciate a strategy where it's not just simply a get through the pack and call it. Sometimes you can take a couple laps and get a few more points than you anticipate. You know, trust your pack, really let them work on that opposing jammer.
Also, I think the jammers are working on and thinking a lot about clearing that penalty box as they're out there, because they've had a lot of blockers in the box.
Yes. 51 is Harley Havoc again for Calgary, but your lead jammer is 999 Kiki Frenetic.
Calgary having a hard time staying together here, and Terminal knocking them all around. Kiki Frenetic getting free and coming out, but not able to score any points. 4 more go to Terminal.
The pack is 3-on-3 as we have Hillary Boswell for Calgary and Icarumba for Terminal. Hearing some whistles.
Looks like we have an official timeout. Working on the clock and maybe checking with the penalty box, doing some math.
Much math is needed in roller derby at times.
The officiating staff does a lot of work to make sure everything is accurate, recorded accurately, and everything is fair. And it might slow the game down at times, but it definitely is appreciated by everyone, because you want to make with the way our ranking system works, every single point, every single penalty is an impact, and it's important to make sure that they're all correct.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rydell experiencing unmatched stability and response in the simplified revolutionary design, the Powerdyne Arius Platinum, performance redefined.
If you're watching along at home, thank you, because there's a big game on track 1 right now. And also, you should use the hashtag BigO2018 to let us know what you think.
Icarumba, jammer for Terminal City, goes to the box for a forearm, leaving Hillary Boswell as the only jammer on the track. Advantage very much to Calgary with only 2 blockers from Terminal City, giving 5 more points to Calgary. This power jam is going to be very beneficial to the team in blue.
These packs have been very strung out and very small this entire game, which is great for jammers, but not so great for these blockers, who haven't even been able to touch the jammers a lot of the time. As you just saw there, Hillary Boswell got through without either of the Terminal blockers being able to make contact. And of course, another Calgary blocker headed the penalty box, so this is a 2-on-2 pack now.
Icarumba is back on the track, got through for the initial pass. Therefore, Hillary Boswell still doing plenty to work for her team as she calls it off.
It's a 15-point jam for Calgary. 13, excuse me, going to bring in 22 and 35 for Terminal City. Sorry that I'm slow on the score. The scoreboard is literally directly behind my head. This venue is fantastic and it's set up really great, but sometimes when you're on the stream, you can't see the scoreboard.
.41 is Lemon, 51 Harley Havoc. Terminal City benefiting from an actual 4th skater that just got a penalty.
So we're back to 3-on-3 inside the pack. If we keep seeing this many penalties, we're definitely going to have foul-out problems in the second half of this game. If we make it to the second half of this game.
Little kiss out of bounds. both jammers working on establishing lead status as Terminal City loses another. Ooh, both jammers out. However, we only have one lead, and that would go to Lemon. Big hit brings her down, but she calls it off to ensure no points are awarded to either team.
Yeah, Lemon there, I think, thought that that was going to be a penalty, but it wasn't. So when they hit the ground, they called that one off. Didn't allow Calgary to pick up any points on that.
Easy Break Oven appears to be the upcoming jammer. But we have an official review, so I'm going to tease you about who's up for Terminal City.
It's a Calgary official review, where every team gets one official review per half. If they win their official review or the officials decide that, yes, you were right, we were wrong, then they'll get it back and can use it again. Otherwise, they don't get it back again until the halftime reset.
I feel like it's been more common in recent years that more often than it used to, that officials are willing to overturn something or really see it in the perspective of the team, which is a nice balance back from a couple years ago.
I think that it highly depends on the crews you're looking at in a tournament like this. You have such highly skilled, focused crews that often when you call everyone in, somebody will be like, oh yeah, I saw that. Yes, that was the way it happened. And they're able to judge impact and judge whether or not a penalty should have been called or shouldn't have been called, or whether or not points should have been scored or hadn't been scored.
It's very nice to have that perspective from so many people. It's our own little instant replay in everyone's mind.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we don't allow for instant replay, but we do allow for all of the officials to get together and discuss their perspective on what happened and just the nature of roller derby, because you're skating so very, very close to where you're trying to look at. And sometimes you need 3 sets of eyes to really get
Calgary have
happened.
requested the review for a lack of a cut call on the red jammer from the previous jam. They believe they re-entered ahead of 2 of their teammates. It was determined only 1 of their teammates. Therefore, no cut will be issued. They do not retain their official review for the first period.
It's a great description by Tipsy Moo. There's nothing else to say there. They thought that there was a cut because you can't come in front of 2 of your teammates. The officials discussed it and decided no, it was only 1 of their teammates that they went out and they came in front of. And here we go.
Little over 18 minutes left in this half. Marinacre is out on the track for Terminal City, but it is, they changed it on me, Hillary Boswell, who is serving as jammer for Calgary.
Hillary Boswell has gotten lead this is the 2nd time now in a row. Clears that pack, gets 4 points.
One of the stifling effects of having 2 tracks so close, so we do have a lot of whistles going at one time. It's even been tripping up some of our skaters, stopping gameplay, but luckily this particular game so far hasn't had that issue. We will see how that comes along. Hillary Boswell struggling just before turn 1 as Marinacre got 4 more points on the last lap.
Boswell's lead lets herself get lapped once, but not the 2nd time. Is able to get 4 though on that pass. Gonna be 8 for Calgary, 7 for Terminal on that jam. Score is 43-29 with Terminal still on top.
Penalties impacting play once again. Calgary has 3 blockers, Terminal with 2. Are You Ready serving for Terminal, and Easy Break Oven serving for Calgary.
Are You Ready finding a line on the inside, going to pick up lead jammer for Terminal. Easy Break Oven does get through the pack, completing her initial pass. Both jammers scoring eligible. Are You Ready hitting the pack at speed, is able to get through quickly, call it off. That's 4 points for Are You Ready and Terminal City. Pat, we're lining up again. There's now a 4-2 advantage for Calgary. Calgary able to keep their blockers on the track. Jamming, we have I Carumba up against Bazinga for Calgary.
Pack looking strategic as they start up by the pivot line. The Terminal City skaters skated away from that line. Couple get hit out, and that gives Bazinga an opportunity to get out of the pack, but is not lead jammer.
There was a no pass, no penalty. Terminal is able to pick up lead right after that, so calls it off immediately, doesn't allow Bazinga to get into scoring position. We're going to reset and do it again. It's going to be 4-on-3 this time. Terminal was able to regain a blocker during that last jam.
It looks like Bazinga is doing 2 in a row. It was Bazinga last time, correct? Always fun to see. Kiki Frenetic, I saw them skate yesterday. She did not jam as often as some of the others, but occasionally was rather useful in being able to effectively score points.
It's like Kiki Frenetic is doing a great job of keeping her feet away from the lines. So while they might be pushing her body towards the line, she's leaning forward so that her momentum is moving away and she's not getting pushed out of bounds.
Oh.
But an aisle on the outside, that's Bazinga with lead.
Terminal City and Calgary have both their penalty box empty, therefore it's 4-on-4. All the walls are pretty firm. We have one Calgary bridge individual. Kiki Frenetic is out of the pack. Bazinga calls it to an end after getting 4 points.
33-47 now. So Calgary's doing a good job at slowly closing that gap, trying to get back in, making sure that we keep a game so when we head into halftime, there isn't a very large gap between the two teams. And they've been doing a much better job at keeping their blockers on the track these last few jams, and that's worked out in their favor. Now that I say that, it seems there is a blocker of theirs in the penalty box.
Harley Havoc going out for Calgary, and that is Lemon for Terminal. Again, pack advantage is to Terminal right now. I'm not sure how much. Yes, the offense did help Lemon, but there was one last Calgary blocker. But Lemon is your lead jammer as a Calgary blocker goes to the box. Harley Havoc out and trying to catch up to Lemon. Lemon calls it off.
These teams are very closely ranked as of March 31st. Calgary is 36th, I believe, and Terminal 39th. So we should be seeing a very tight game. We are seeing a very tight game. Scores 51-33 now. And we've got 13 minutes left in this first half.
The single blocker for Calgary is a pivot and is was very much over the pivot line, but was not able to hold back Are You Ready? Easy break oven, not taking it easy on these Calgary blockers, but they're not making it easy for her either.
Are You Ready? Does a big apex jump. They're going to pick up 5 points on that pass. Pack picks up some speed that's going to free Easy Bake Oven. Now both jammers are scoring eligible. Are You Ready? Able to hit the pack a second time before calling it off. It's another 4 points, 9 total on the jam for Terminal.
Terminal City definitely making a dent in this point spread as they slowly inch by, winning each jam by jam. Again, this is very much about penalties right now, we think, because there's not been a lot of 4-on-4 skating happening. Most jams haven't started that way. This one is 3-on-3 as I Carumba and Hillary Boswell are out on the track. Oh, excuse me, it was 2-on-3.
It's a multiplayer block called on Renault.
I Carumba is your lead jammer as Hillary Boswell's stuck in turn 2 behind some Terminal City blockers.
Calgary doing a good job of slowing down that Terminal jammer, though they're able to get free.
Hearing some great communication on the track. Also seeing some faces annoyed at refs. They always want to express their opinion about what has gone on. Power of suggestion. Great teamwork on by Calgary on Icarumba.
They got 2 up in the front now, holding Icarumba, trying to push her to the lines. Icarumba doing that same thing I've seen the other terminal skaters do, which is leaning forward to make it so that her momentum won't hold her back towards the line. It won't be as easy to push her out of bounds. It's going to be 4 points for Icarumba. We had a no pass, no penalty in that. 9 points for terminal on that, 69 total. Still 33 for Calgary.
Marinaker and Bazinga. Calgary taking back Marinaker around the back of turn 4. Bazinga fighting through a tripod of Terminal City blockers.
Bazinga being pushed to the outside, not allowing that to happen, trying to break through that brace, or at least challenging the holds to try and get multiplayer. It's not working. It allows Marinaker to pick up lead for Terminal.
A star pass happening from Bazinga to number 12, Ruthless Red.
It's the first star pass we've seen from Calgary. It looks like it works out well for them this time. It's gonna be, they're gonna hold Terminal to 2 points on that jam, bring them up to 71, still 33 for Calgary. But we'll see if they try more of these star passes in order to slow down these jams and keep to a single scoring pass, and sometimes not even a complete single scoring pass.
I think the biggest thing is making sure that the pivots are out of the penalty box so far. That's probably a thing that has prevented the star pass, but it's I haven't been able to see quite how many pivots were going. So we'll see if that's a factor here and if they are able to keep that momentum going.
I think they're doing a better job adjusting to this ref crew than they were earlier in the game. Lead this time to Calgary. That's number 302, Easy Break Oven. We've seen quite a bit of her this game.
Yes, advantage definitely to Calgary currently, as Lemon takes a big hit in turn 1, is able to get back up, but kind of slowly. Easy Break Oven taking advantage of the thinned out Terminal team.
It's 5 points now for Calgary, bringing them up to 38. Terminal Jammer is out of the pack and scoring eligible, bearing down on the pack. Looks like Calgary is not going to call this one off, though. And Calgary's blockers are split apart, so easy work for that Jammer. 4 points now for Terminal. Calgary decides to call it off. Doesn't pick anything up on that pass. 14 points for Calgary, 4 for Terminal. Score now 47-75.
And after that last jam, Terminal City calls a timeout.
Yeah, they've been losing a little bit of the momentum here, not dominating every single jam. I think part of that is because Calgary has kept out of the box mainly, although not right at the moment. Part of that is because both teams are adjusting to each other, so now they're going to need to make another move to try and shift out so that Calgary has to figure them out some more.
It'll be interesting to see what Terminal does, seeing that we have 2 blockers from Calgary sitting, 1 standing, ready to go. So that means, again, starting with 1 blocker. It looks like Hillary Boswell will be starting out as jammer with Calgary. So let's see what Terminal City is able to do with this strong advantage.
It's interesting to see what Calgary's strategy is going to be going into this jam. If they're going to have their one blocker play offense, they're going to have their one blocker try and play defense. It's a hard position to be in, especially if you are the single blocker up against, I guess there's 3 terminal blockers on the track. So that's rough.
Right now, it doesn't look like Hillary Boswell will be taking a defensive stance, but we're always possible to see jammers take on defensive roles.
Yeah, I think it's more likely to see the... Oh, that's going to be a forearm penalty for Hillary Boswell. So now there's only one Calgary player on the track, and she just got sent off. So luckily somebody came back from the box in the meantime. So we have a different single Calgary blocker on the track.
This means that Terminal City is on one of the most powerful power jams that I've ever seen, as they have Hanley out there currently.
Yeah, and it's a cut now called on the pivot who came back from the box. Another blocker from Calgary rejoining play, so now they've got 2, and their jammer's back now, but for a while there, it was kind of like a 4-for-1 sale. You pass one person, you get 4 free points.
Exactly. Hillary Boswell came in first with the star off, then decided to put it back on, probably just putting her energy towards getting through the pack. Hadley got hit and down, is now out and calls it off. That was probably a lot of points for that particular team. Looking at the scoreboard, it was 15 points. Oh, excuse me, 19.
It's going to make the score now 97-47, so 50-point game. Remember, these teams were only ranked about 3 ranking positions apart, so you'd expect this game to be very, very tight. It's a little less tight, partially because of penalty problems. And not only are penalties an issue because you have less players on the track and because you're an easy point, but also it messes up your lineups for the whole game.
Yes.
This is lead now going to Calgary. Just to prove that I'm wrong with everything I say, that's easy break oven.
Ooh, a good hit out in turn 3 onto easy break oven.
Big jump, easy break oven, doesn't land it inbounds, decides to recycle and take another pass. It looks like now this is going to be a power jam for easy break oven. I can't see what the penalty was, but the terminal jammer is sitting in the penalty box.
Shifting the power to Calgary, another 2 blockers from terminal. Excuse me, just one. Now there's 2. They like to keep us on our own toe stops. Jam comes to an end after easy break oven gets 5 more points.
And we scored 52-96. 2 points went to terminal on that there with their jammer in the box, having scored them before going there. So now we're going to see 3-on-2 in the pack. Excuse me, 4-on-2. So for once, Calgary is the one with the advantage. Looks like we're going to have an official review now being called by terminal.
Currently there's some hugging, some team solidarity by terminal amongst the 2 blockers on the track, just holding on for dear Derby life.
They're both best friends and about to have a really annoying jam. I mean, it's better to have 2 than to have 1. I think that's what they're saying. They're saying, look, there's 2 of us. The last time we were in a timeout, there was only 1 of you, but there's 2 of us. Yeah, they don't even have a jammer to keep them company. Two sad blockers.
Luckily, they're smiling.
Experience world-class edging with Radar Halo, available in a full range of hardnesses from 84A all the way up to 103A. There's a Halo for everyone. Except for you. You're bad. No Halo for you.
Me?
No, just somebody who's out there.
That's true.
In the world listening to me. You know it's you. It's all the people like me with anxiety, and they're like, stop talking to me.
I'm curious who's skating on a 102 or a 103 skate. That is the slickest I could even imagine on wheels. Woo.
We're just waiting to hear from our officiating crew. Looks like Fluster Cluck from the Vancouver Murder in there talking a tipsy moo.
Terminal City had requested a cut call against the blue jammer on the previous jam. The jam ref confirmed that yes, contact was made out of bounds, but they ceded any advantage. Therefore, no cut call will be made. They do not retain the review for the first period.
So they're trying to get a cut on the Calgary jammer, but because of those new cutting rules where you can yield or cede your advantage to the person that you've cut, the cut wasn't called and it shouldn't have been called, which is it's been an interesting adjustment, I think, for a lot of teams, because no longer can you very clearly see a cut or very easily draw a cut.
And taking advantage off winning that review, if you will, even though they didn't call it. That is number 51, Harley Havoc, gets through, gets lead quite quickly. Are you ready out of the box as Harley Havoc gets 5 points through the first lap around?
It's exactly what Calgary needed right now. Terminal City wanting to make sure to keep a strong lead going into the second half if they can. Gives them some breathing room. So that's Are You Ready? Hitting the pack just as the whistles blow. And all 4 points, 5 for Calgary. This is going to be 62 to 100 now, so they've gotten that 50-point lead down to about 38.
Just around 3:30 left in this half. Sending out I Caramba for Terminal, and that is 3:14 Bazinga for Calgary.
It's interesting when you watch a game like this where there's so much penalty trouble to think about a skill that you need as a team, or kind of resiliency, where not only do you need to be able to skate your game and keep yourself together, but also you need to be able to adjust to officiating crews as you move around. You know, both these teams are not from around here, and so they might not be used to some of these crews. And the faster they can adjust, the better they're going to do. Calgary now has a lead. That's Bazinga.
Bazinga hit to the outside, just outside turn 1. We have I Caramba still working on that initial pass. Just getting out is not lead jammer, as we indicated Bazinga is, and is working on the first scoring pass for Calgary. Taking lead from the coach, calls it off, gets 3 points for Calgary. Slow and steady is their approach.
It's going to be 65 for them now, 100 for Terminal. We were at about 2.5 minutes before the half. 2.5 minutes to go in the first period. This is exactly what Calgary needs to do right here, right? You can't expect to get a 25 or 30-point jam. You want them.
Yes.
You'll take them when they happen. But you need to have your mind in the game to be able to just very methodically chip away at an early lead that you an early deficit that you're in. And that's what they're doing. Terminal needs to be able to readjust here in order to continue to increase their lead if they want to keep it.
And that's Kiki Frenetic and Hillary Boswell. It is a stretched out pack as Hillary Boswell just becomes lead. Similar to what my co-announcer was saying, it's very much about winning each jam at a time. As long as you continuously win jams, that's how you win, no matter how many points it is. So Hillary Boswell making an etch through turn 3. She's doing it with a smile, enjoying going up against this Terminal City tripod.
Holding on here, finally gets tapped out of bounds, is able to get back in before Terminal gets too far back into the turn.
Kiki Frenetic hits out and is unfortunately recycled back, working extra hard, just like Hillary Boswell is. Kiki Frenetic out for the initial pass finally, right? As Hillary Boswell is still in the first scoring pass.
Hillary Boswell's decided, you know what, I've already got all 5 of these points, so I don't need to keep fighting, calls it off. It's going to be a 5-point gain for Calgary on that jam. Brings them up to 70, so now it's a 30-point spread between these teams. This is more what I expected to see with Calgary only ranked 3 above Terminal. This is about where I wanted,
Yes.
where I thought this game would be. I don't know. I don't ever want anything, although don't we always want those 1-point games?
I do. I think you get more for your money when it's a nail biter or some kind of extra jam, if you will.
Yeah, the more lead changes, the better we all do. That's lead for Calgary.
Easy break oven.
Jamming up against number 41, that's Lemon. They're able to get past the last line of defense, but decides to take a recycle. I'm assuming there must have been a cut I couldn't see at the front. Make easy work of the pack the second time, though. Calgary still trying to pick up the last of those points in that first scoring pass.
Easy break oven fell and had kind of got stopped by some terminal blockers as Lemon is hurdling over some Calgary downed skaters.
Smart move by Easy Break Oven, keeping this going. Now we'll see if she decides to call it off. No, she doesn't, so we're going to go long on this one.
This is a lot of trust in your blockers to hold back the opposing jammer, which is really good old-fashioned derby these days.
Yeah, and this is all bonus time, right? She calls this jam off. We go to the halftime. This is time we never get back. So any point that she can put on the board here, number one, it'll help with any rankings because the more points, the better. And number two, you might as well take all the extra time you can possibly get to be scoring on the track. And as good time management and a smart decision. And let's see. Going into the halftime, that was a 13-point jam for Calgary. It's 83. 7 for Terminal City is going to bring them to 107.
All right, we will get back here at the halftime in just a few minutes.
If you want to take a few minutes to just load up a second screen, you might want to check what's going on track 1. I heard it is very exciting, but otherwise we'll be back here in about 10 minutes. I'm October Revolution.
And I'm Sassy McFly.
Go get yourself something to eat.
Said track 2 ready to get it all done. Second half and ready to roll.
Yeah, the score coming out of the half is 107 for Terminal, 83 for Calgary. There was a bigger gap there. Calgary able to kind of chip away at it at the end. It took almost 20 minutes for them to really acclimate to this game, stay out of the penalty box, and start picking up lead. Terminal City, of course, put a bunch of points on the board in that early part of the game so that they had a cushion for just this eventuality and are hoping to have regrouped at the half and continue to score the points.
And starting almost like with the beginning of a bout, there are 4 skaters from each team blocking against the jammers. 51 Harley Havoc for Calgary. 33-2, is Handley for Terminal City.
It's the first time we've seen Handley jamming, I believe, this game.
Unfortunately, Handley is going to the penalty box, giving advantage to Harley Havoc.
Lead picked up by Harley Havoc. Looks like a blocker, though, from Calgary head of the penalty box. So Terminal does have the pack advantage at the moment.
Some great offense, though, happening in turn 3 on behalf of Calgary. But we have 305 Smokey giving some really good defense to Harley Havoc.
Terminal doing a great job covering the line, pushing that jammer out. Harley Havoc decides to call off the jam, frees the Terminal jammer in the box. Handley is standing, though, so it'll be less than 10 seconds Bazinga has to get a lead before this power jam is over.
Bazinga trying to communicate with her blockers. There's a lot of kind of movement in front of the jammer line. They are definitely ready. Oh, and Calgary goes back into turn 4, trying to break up that pack.
Good job by Calgary this time, breaking up the pack without picking up a destruction call. They're able to get lead very quickly, although unfortunately no one was back together, so Handley just kind of walked through that pack.
Bazinga calling the jam to its end.
It's not going to be 89 for Calgary, 107 still for Terminal.
And Terminal City calling an official review.
It's interesting. It's early for them to try this official review. They must be very certain of what they're doing.
It's looking like there's no one in the penalty box. Therefore, the next jam is going to start fairly regular. Again, as we've been mentioning, they've adjusted well to this officiating crew, been able to adapt, and this second half will go a little bit closer to as it should be in regards to their rankings and possibly even the frequency of which they get to encounter each other.
Hit This Derby gear has everything you need to get rolling. From skates to protective gear and unmatched service for all your derby needs. Before you hit the track, hit this. Looks like everybody's headed back, and Tipsy Moo's got that microphone.
Terminal City requested the review of a lack of a skating out of bounds called against the Blue Jammer in the previous jam. The Blue Jammer attempted the call-off whilst straddling, was not completely out of bounds, thus not meeting the metric for skating out of bounds. A call will not be made. They do not retain the review for the second period.
It's an interesting challenge for Terminal City to have made. I guess they would have gotten a power jam if they got it.
Yes, indeed. But I definitely think, as you said earlier, with the yielding and straddling changes, it starts to shift how we perceive the gaining of penalties. So it changes how many challenges you want to put out there.
Yeah, they were saying that the jammer skated out of bounds, then called off the jam in order to avoid that hit, but that jammer was already straddling the line, according to the officials, when they called that off. And I guess unless you had a really, really clear view of where the jammer's feet were and what the jammer's hands were doing, it's a risky decision to make.
In that last jam, we had both of the team's jammers get out, and Calgary calls it off as Aria Reddy was hot on their tail. Back at it, though, is number 99, I Caramba, up to 934, Hillary Boswell. And once again, we've got all four blockers ready to take these jammers on as Hillary Boswell gets lead in turn one.
I Caramba able to follow the same path out of the pack. Both jammers now are scoring eligible, though we have Terminal in the back, so it's going to give a little bit of time for Boswell, able to pick up one there. It's now 90 to 107, so we're down to a 17-point spread. Terminal City haven't scored yet in this half.
Along with timeouts, it's interesting to see how teams regroup during the half. That's a little extra time to focus, find your center, and be able to make some different changes out there.
Momentum is so important going into the half. So Calgary had a good end of the first half, and maybe that made them happier than Terminal, who had a harder time coming out of the end of that first half. This is going to be a power jam for Terminal, though. They're jammer alone on the track and able to be lead. That is Lemon, and they're scoring eligible and have all the power.
Yes, Harley Havoc had drawn a cutting of the track, giving Lemon this power cut, or power jam. A power cut. That's when you do it really well.
When you cut real hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be 5 points for Lemon. I think a power cut is when you're playing on like hockey court and you think that you're inside the track, but actually you're playing in the hockey lines.
Yes.
You cut the entire game. That's 5 points more for Lemon.
Smokey again doing some awesome defense there. Lemon able to get by those Calgary blockers, gets 4 points.
Calgary now back together, hoping to help their jammer out. She does complete her initial pass, is scoring eligible. Lemon calls that one off when they aren't able to stop Harley Havoc before hitting the pack. It's a 14-point jam, 121 for Terminal, 90 for Calgary.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen this weekend at the Big O is some of the jammers really slowing down, being patient, and watching the clock, being able to just like let their lead lie and let that happen sufficiently.
It's a timeout call by Calgary. Speaking of watching the clock. Although Calgary after this will only have one timeout and one official review, so only 2 clock stoppages going into the back of the game. And you know, it's hard. It's hard to make a decision. If you call these timeouts and then you're able to come out there renewed, like we saw in the first half, it'll keep you in the game better. And so, you know, if you didn't do that, you wouldn't need them at the end of the game. But when you use them now, and then the game gets real, real close, you'll be wishing you had them in the last, like, 4 minutes.
Yes, so Calgary, I'm seeing kind of mixing it up. It's one of those things where something's not working, and trying to make a change is a calculated risk. Definitely being mindful of how your players work together, how they work effectively with the jammer, and being able to read them as well.
Yeah, you see Calgary getting kind of broken apart a lot, and when they get broken apart, that's when they tend to make those riskier decisions that draw those penalties. So I think that they're trying to kind of reestablish a hive mind, so that they are making less risky decisions and all staying on the track.
Hanley being utilized again as a jammer as Bazinga makes some efforts. Some of the blocker changes working out for Calgary, but not standing still is Hanley getting through those changes.
Hanley now lead and scoring eligible. That's going to be 4 points for Terminal. Both jammers are now scoring eligible as Bazinga was able to break free of the pack.
Hanley calls the jam to an end. Calgary coaches are definitely making some decisions, trying to calculate what's going to be best as they move forward.
We've got 1 Terminal blocker in the box, all of Calgary's blockers on the track, and a couple jammers.
.302 is Easy Break Oven for Calgary, and 7718. Arya Reddy is the jammers for this time around.
Terminal City holding that Calgary jammer long enough to pick up lead. Arya Reddy is now lead jammer, and it looks like also the only jammer as a back block was called on the Calgary player, and this is going to be a power jam for Terminal.
Smokey giving a nice push on Arya Reddy, getting them through.
I'm not sure I'd want the other team to have Arya Reddy as the jammer during a power jam. They have been putting up big numbers this game.
As I watch some of these bouts, I wonder which players we're going to see later at the MVP bout today. It'll be interesting to see how those shake out.
That's such a fun game.
Big hit from Easy Break Oven as she comes out of the penalty box.
Some good jammer defense trying to slow down. Arya Reddy headed into the pack. Looks like the scrum tightened up and made some space. Going to force that call off. 2 more. It's going to be 12 total for Arya Reddy's score. 137 now to 92. Terminal doing a great job adjusting to Calgary's adjustments. And I was on the bowling team in college, right? And a lot of bowling is moving your feet and changing your ball and changing your oil patterns and all this stuff in order to react to the floor. And sometimes you see a lot of that going on in Derby. So Calgary adjusts, scores a bunch of points. Terminal adjusts, shuts them down. Calgary adjusts, closes the game back up. Terminal adjusts, shuts them down. And we're in that cycle. We're in the Terminal part of that cycle right now.
Trying to challenge that cycle is Hillary Boswell, but gets hit out. Our jammer is I Carumba for Terminal City at the front end of the pack. Hillary Boswell finding opportunity, though, gets lead just on turn 2.
Hillary Boswell having a lot of luck as a jammer today. I say luck, but you know I mean skill, because there's no such thing as luck.
At least not in roller derby.
No. We are masters of our own universe, friends.
And these hardworking masters are looking to score some points. A star pass goes from Icaramba to Handley.
Handley's been successful in this second half. It's going to force the call out from Calgary. Now 2 points scored from them. Bring them up to 96. Still 137 for Terminal. Got 20 minutes left in this game. So far this weekend, Calgary lost to Bear City and pretty substantially, but beat Jet also pretty substantially. So they're 1-1 going into this game.
I know that Terminal City had a loss against the Tucson Rollergirls, or Roller Derby, excuse me, yesterday as well.
They also lost to Sacramento on Friday.
So they're looking to redeem themselves, if you will, on day 3 of this tournament.
It would definitely be helpful for their rankings points if they were to beat Calgary today.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Griffith is going to the boxes. Hanley is out of the pack.
5 points awarded to Harley Havoc. It's 100 now for Calgary, 137 for Terminal. We're back in the Calgary part of this pattern.
Yes, 37 points separating these teams with a little over 18 minutes left.
I don't care what team you're rooting for here. This is a stressful game.
Yes, luckily we have a lot less penalties now, so that's advantageous to both teams. Lemon out there up against Bazinga. They're doing a very interesting technique. They're essentially riding on the opposing jammer. They're trying to take advantage of the path that they're taking.
I've seen a lot of that this weekend. The jammers have gotten a lot better in pressing on these connections as well, drawing these multiplayers, and also leaning in on it, because not only will it draw a multiplayer, but also it keeps you from getting knocked out of balance. It's going to be a power jam now for Bazinga. Lemon sent to the penalty box in the scrum.
Some nice dodging going on, giving Bazinga an opportunity to get some points.
The pivot from Calgary head to the penalty box. Looks like going to be there a full minute. I saw an insubordination call while she was on her way to the box.
The pivot for Terminal also going in the box, and as rounding turn 3, Lemon comes out, gives a good hit to Bazinga, who's going after some, trying to get some points, but that was the initial pass.
Yeah, it's going to give a little bit of time for Bazinga to score some points. Decides to call it off as Lemon gets close. Going to be 3 more. 13 total, score now 113 to 137.
This Calgary team relying a lot on their bench to kind of decide what's going on there. A lot of communication between the bench and the track, as well as on the track itself. So lots going on here on track 2.
Looks like we've got 4-on-3 Terminal at full blocker strength. Oh no, excuse me, it's 3-on-3. That's a jammer. I see good.
Yes, that jammer being Marinacre, but that's Hillary Boswell getting lead jammer for Calgary. Bench saying, get a going, get those points, get it done.
Textbook. Textbook jam there. 3 points for Calgary, 0 for Terminal. 116. to 137. You know, they're close enough again where Calgary can kind of do this chip away thing, which works well for them. They haven't proven to be a large jam team. Whereas Terminal, when they get control, they can put up 15, 20 points in a jam. They're comfortable doing that. Calgary hasn't been able to, probably because they've had a lot of blocker penalty problems, and they just don't have the force to hold those jammers back.
Yeah. Speaking of force, that's Aria Reddy getting through the pack, kind of bouncing off those Calgary blockers in an attempt to get lead. Easy break Oven having taken the star off. Oh, but Aria Reddy is getting a penalty.
It was a low block, actually, in that pileup you saw in turn 1. So we got another power jam here for Calgary.
A lot of just shuffling going on in between turn 2 and 3. We have a star pass on Calgary. It is now an engage.
Yeah, the star pass means that we're going to have a 2-minute jam.
Yes.
Engage, though, able to use that quick feet strategy, picks up 5 points. Very different kind of jamming, I think, than Terminal's been used to seeing from Calgary, so helping them out right now. It's going to be another 5 on the outside for Engage.
Yeah, Engage was able to get through that pack pretty swiftly, just kind of ducking down around the Terminal blockers.
Are you ready? Out of the box, back in the action. Engage almost getting a cut there. Noticing at the last minute, recycling herself. 4 points on the board for Are You Ready? That's how you cover the inside line with your whole butt.
Are You Ready having to recycle on the inside of the track. Looking a little tired, but that's not going to stop these teams. Jam comes to its natural end. In that jam, that was 12 points for Calgary and 11 for Terminal City. Calgary at 128, Terminal City at 148. That's right, 20 points with a little over 13 minutes left in this half.
All that hard skating, and there was only a 1 point differential swing. Everybody skated so hard in that jam. Nobody really won it. It's an official timeout called. Looks like there's a little bit of shuffling going on the track, or at least potential shuffling going on the track.
I was seeing that with the Sacramento team today when they were playing Tucson. They would bring jammers out 2 at a time, and then right before the whistle blew, the second jammer would just skate away. There was last-minute shuffling happening, and it causes a nice little mind confusion for your opponent there at the beginning of a jam.
Yeah, I saw Victoria doing a little bit of that at the beginning of their game on Friday.
All the new things in Derby happen at tournaments such as this, so don't be surprised if that's something we start to see a little bit more often. Starting this off in a power start. No, not a power start. That was just a quick run by Icarumba, and that's for Terminal City, but number 51 is Harley Havoc.
Lead goes to Terminal. That is Icarumba. You may notice that the names on the back of the Terminal jerseys are a little bit different. They have a whole bunch of fun nicknames they're going by today, but I don't read very well from far away, so I can't tell you what they are. But maybe you can see them on the screen, and then you know how cute and fun they are. That's 5 points for Terminal. It's another 5 points. It's 10 total on the jam for Terminal.
And we have Harley Havoc there, having taken the star off of her helmet, putting it back on, and is able to make it through right before, or not make it through, but make it to the pack right before finishing. You know, we talk about how fun Terminal City has been on their bench for their games. They've actually had a very large stuffed fish It is a rainbow trout.
No.
They
It's a salmon. I've gotten in big trouble about this fish. Let me tell you. I'm sorry. I did not mean to cut you off, but I once
No, it's
accidentally
fine.
called that fish a rainbow trout. It is a rainbow trout.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Terminal. But they sewed it so that it is more of a salmon. It is Sammy the salmon.
Yes, they want it to be a salmon. They believe it's a
rainbow
salmon.
trout.
They are not ones to to adhere to any kind of specific expectations, which is great. Exceeding expectations right now is Lemon for Terminal City, who actually talked to me about said fish, is lead jammer as the penalty for, or the pivot for Calgary goes to the box. Bazinga's working hard after being recycled to the back of the pack.
Just want you to know, Terminal City, I accept Sammy the salmon, but I'm from Minnesota and I understand a trout. I know my fish. It's okay. I like your. You were a great, wonderful host in Vancouver when I accidentally called that fish a trout. It's going to be 4 points for Lemon. Lemon is not lead, by the way, because they picked up a no pass, no penalty on their initial pass. Oh, never mind. Looks like they changed it. There's a pointing finger now.
The big L is not for Lemon. It is lead. Calgary taking the star on and off in order to get through the pack, hoping for maybe a change, but it is still Bazinga. That jam comes to the end, as per requested by Lemon.
14 points for Terminal. 176 to 128 now. Looks like our first foul out of the game just happened. Preacher slaughter for Calgary.
In all fairness, how it was going earlier, for it to take this long, some success.
Shows that everyone chilled out a little bit at the halftime. Had a few less penalties. Sometimes nerves,
Yes.
new ref crews, it being Sunday morning of a tournament and you got beat up for 2 days because everyone gets beat up on tournaments.
Yes, nerves and fatigue definitely takes a role. You start to lose a little bit of focus. You're either losing focus or really focused, and these teams are probably coming back together quite well.
This is Calgary's last timeout. It's a team timeout for them. They have one more clock stoppage as an official review. We have about 10 minutes left in this game. Terminal's still got 2 of their clock stoppages. They do not have their official review.
I saw it looked like Calgary was really deciding on the last timeout whether or not to take it. As we were discussing, it is very strategic how you use those timeouts. It's 3 for the whole bout.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you use them to put time on the clock when you need it, but sometimes you just need the time to regroup and relax or redo your lines if you have a foul out. Now we have Handley up against Easy Break Oven. No, I'm lying.
No, that is Hillary Boswell. They're both rather tall.
I thought I saw 2, but I saw 4.
A lot of shuffling, and it's Hillary Boswell who's able to get out on the outside as your lead jammer.
It's going to be a power jam for Hillary Boswell. 2 Terminal players out of the box, one of which is Handley, the jammer. And now a forearm for Hillary Boswell. So this will be a 2-minute jam, and we're going to have a swapperoo out of the penalty box.
It's not common these days to get full 2-minute jams, so hopefully we can maintain that limited penalty heaviness that we were experiencing earlier. I think as much as we think about how much the jammers are working, we forget about how much the blockers are working.
There's a star pass there that got a little messed up, but looks like Hillary Boswell got that star over to the pivot before picking up a high block and going to the box. No. Hillary Boswell is sitting as the jammer. The jammer cap is sitting in turn 2. I just saw it now.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's like a terminal players are going to hover around it so that when Boswell gets out of the box, they won't be able to get it, but the jam is ended, so they can just take that cap and go away.
Yes, the star pass, being very mindful of not getting a high block when doing it overhead, is very valuable.
Got a 186. Excuse me, 190 to 132. Then about 8 minutes left in the game, and this is an official timeout?
Yes, this is an official timeout, just kind of clarifying a few things. Usually when we encounter something slightly non-traditional, not that star passes don't happen, but how things get executed and the timeliness of it needs some clarity, and that's the great thing about this sport. We're willing to learn along the way, even while we're bouting.
Looks like the officials are getting back into position.
Want to say thank you to Emerald City and Lane County Concussion for getting us streaming and whatnot going. I believe Grimes and punishment was a key factor in helping this be a possibility, so thank you for the live feed there, Grimes.
That's Are You Ready? Jamming for terminal. Are You Ready? Fighting hard against that Calgary tripod in the front. One of the Calgary blockers headed to the penalty box, going to leave just those 3. Are You Ready? Able to run around the outside of those skaters is now lead for terminal.
Hillary Boswell making it out of the pack as Are You Ready scoring on the first scoring pass. 5 points for Are You Ready.
Big jump by Hillary Boswell, not able to land it in bounds though, so those points won't count, and she has to recycle. Are You Ready is going to take the risk to keep going, and does keep going. Picking up another 4 points, as does Hillary Boswell.
Terminal City losing a blocker as Are You Ready calls the jam to its end.
Are You Ready gets 2 more on that. Score now 199 to 136.
Fluster Cluck of Calgary coming to have a word or possible question with the officials on the inside.
We're going to see an official review from Calgary. Seen a lot of Fluster Cluck inside talking to Tipsy Moo today. Don't forget to use the Big O 2018 in all your tournament posts this weekend as the official hashtag of the tournament this year. And of course, if you're at home watching with your cats or your dogs, you can always try hashtag Big O Cats and hashtag Big O Dogs for more fun and excitement.
I can't remember if it was last year or the year before when that really started to hit the internet with the Big O posts. But you can use that hashtag on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can write it in a card, send it to your grandma. She won't understand, but she'll appreciate that you were creative.
Or she'll ask you very difficult questions about why you spend all of your money and time on a sport she's never heard of. Maybe that's just mine.
Not opposed to the, I remember when.
Game has really opened up in the fourth quarter of it. It's a much different spread than we saw maybe 8 gameplay minutes ago, and Terminal's been able to definitely kind of readjust and continue to dominate here with their play.
Head ref giving us word on the official review.
Calgary was seeking to review the lack of an out-of-play contact call against the red jammer in the previous jam. Contact was made during a no-pack situation, but there was no major impact on the blue blocker. Does not meet the metric for the call. They do not retain their review for the second period.
All right, with that, we are sitting 6 minutes 44 seconds to go in the game, 136-201.
So you heard it from Tipsy Moo. They were looking for an out-of-play block during an OPEC situation, but there wasn't adequate impact. I find that most of those calls, unless you like really see a cut that no one saw, most of those asking for penalties, the officials just have a better vantage point on it than you can have from the bench, and you rarely see them kind of overturned like that. This is a lead jam for Calgary.
Good hit by, I thought it was Icarumba, but I believe it was not. It looks like it was Skate Park.
Harley Havoc able to pick up 5 points. Icarumba is scoring eligible now and back in the pack.
Recycles back behind her own skaters.
Another recycle. And now it's going to be a power jam for Harley Havoc. Icarumba headed to the penalty box. We just saw number 747 Renault headed to the box on a direction of play penalty.
Calgary a little thin in the pack, but Terminal was a little spread out as well. However, Harley Havoc is still having, or excuse me, Harley Havoc having an issue there getting through that pack.
There's 3 now Terminal blockers in the front. Harley trying to push through, but having a hard time of it.
Icarumba back in the pack, whipping around those last few Calgary blockers.
It's the initial pass completed for Icarumba. Four points now on the board for Icarumba. Harley Havoc still in the pack, deciding to call it off as opposed to getting lapped. It's an 18-point jam for Harley Havoc. 4 points for Icarumba. It's 154 to 205. Looks like Zelda Fitzgerald just fouled out of this game.
That's Lemon and Easy Break Oven.
Excuse me, I'm wrong about who fouled out. The foul outs were Renault and Engage, I believe.
Lemon is lead, looking around the track, gauging what the pack is doing. The Terminal City blockers are really holding back Easy Break Oven. They do lose a blocker to a penalty, and they're getting pretty stretched out. Failure to reform call going to Terminal City. Lemon getting a read from her bench coaches as a hop over her opponents gives Easy Break Oven 4 more points.
Lemon's going to call off that jam. Looks like they scored 8 on the jam. 4 on the jam for Calgary. Calgary's bench is getting a little bit light as those foul outs are starting to pile up for them. It's going to make the end of this game a little bit more difficult. As their line, I imagine I've bench managed before. I imagine that they're just calling lines, not even from paper anymore.
Oh, I don't know how anyone does that after 3 or 4 jams in the first
Pods.
in the first half. Yeah.
Pods. You have pods. You call for that, but I'm assuming that
Yeah.
pods probably aren't even working anymore.
Yeah. No, those pods got a re-chance in the second half, but definitely getting thin.
Are you ready? Lead for Terminal.
Are you ready? Falling into the inside of the track, able to stay in bounds though.
Hillary Boswell also picking up 4 points. Are you ready? Just going to continue to do some laps there. Another 4 points for Terminal, then they'll call it off. It's going to be 8 for them. Score is 221 to 162.
Looks like we might be having another Calgary foul out. Or no, she was going to the penalty or the bench.
She's got her water bottle.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a foul out. It's going to be Zoe Duncan from Calgary now fouling out. So I think they're at 4. I mean, there's no longer an inside whiteboard. But from my unofficial count, there's been 4 foul outs.
I see 3 in the stands.
And then the one that just went out. So yeah, that's 4. There's 1:39 left, so looks like there's 9 Calgary players left.
That's more than what Mexico Mayhem started with.
You know, it's rough when you have a game where you just can't stop, like where you just can't adjust, you keep getting penalties, people foul out, it's demoralizing and it snowballs, and it stinks that this is going to be the last game for Calgary this weekend because they had a pretty good weekend otherwise.
Yes.
But for Terminal, on the other hand, they had 2 losses, so this is going to feel very good for them.
Feeling especially well right now is Icarumba as lead jammer for Terminal. I believe that's Harley Havoc. I apologize. I keep they're very similar named on that team.
Both of these jammers are scoring eligible, and they're both scoring points, I'm assuming. We'll find out. Yep, it's going to be 4 for Icarumba.
Harley Havoc definitely trying to get those points in, looking for some assistance from the Calgary blockers.
Great offensive help there from a Calgary blocker. I couldn't quite see the number, but Harley Havoc ends up getting a forearm penalty. Is headed to the penalty box. This will be power jam for Icarumba. There's only about 7 seconds left in the period, so looks like Icarumba is going to play this all the way to the end. Asking the bench, do I just play till I'm done, or do I just play till the period's done?
Well, with Calgary having used up all its timeouts, either way is going to go to their benefit.
Period's over, so this is all bonus time. I think they're basically saying keep scoring points. It makes sense. I mean, you're ranked 3 below the other team. Every point you score is going to help your ranking. So even with the risk of going to the box with only 10 seconds left, it was worth it. Unofficial final score is 239 to 170. It's Terminal City is going to take a win home this weekend.
I'm very excited.
You're very excited. You know, when you lose on Friday and then you lose on Saturday, winning on Sunday feels extra good.
Yes, it does. Still waiting for the score to finalize. Terminal City giving out some good cheers amongst themselves.
Calgary, they fought hard. They had a hard game. And, you know, they had that penalty trouble in the beginning, so even when they had a normal amount of penalties towards the end, they just had already stacked up so much that the foul outs just really affected them. They weren't able to control the game or get lead when they needed to, and, you know, they fought hard. They had a good weekend. They should go home proud.
As all of our skaters should. They've done great.
So our final score, 239 to 170. October Revolution, I've been here with Sassy McFly. You have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Head on over, watch track 1, Angel versus Denver right now. And don't forget to send us things at #BigO2018.
All right, have a great day, folks.